I've noticed recently there's been a massive influx of brand new Mac owners watching the videos on my channel. I wanted to make this really short video as a follow-up to the video I posted on this topic at the end of last year. And that is 3 apps that I now cannot live without. So without further ado, getting straight into it, let's have a look at the first one. And yes, guys, I am using Microsoft Edge as my browser. I'll get into that in a different video. Also quickly as well, this particular video isn't sponsored. No one has actually paid me any money to make this video. I just think these particular apps are helpful. All of them are free to download and test. I believe 2 of them you actually have to pay for them if you like it and want to unlock more features. But even then, the price is relatively low. So this first app is called Text Sniper, and this is actually probably one of the most helpful apps I've ever come across. And like the name suggests, and like what you can see here, you can basically copy text from an image and then paste it to your Word document or your notepad or whatever you use on the Mac. So how does it work? Well, it's very, very simple. All you need to do is on your keyboard, hold down Shift, Command, and then press the 2 key. That's going to bring up the highlight tool. You want to select the text you want to copy, then just let go. That's going to take a screenshot and it's actually going to analyze the text in that particular screenshot. And then you can open up your notes program or Word or whatever you're using, and then you just hold Command and then press V, and that's going to paste in that text. So as you can see there, that has copied and pasted the text here in the exact same format. So you can see there's actually obviously 2 lines there. And you can see that has been replicated here as well. Now, this is going to be perfect for people studying, so university students, high school, middle school, whatever you are, and I'll show you why. So let's say, for example, you're watching a lecture online and you need to copy and paste notes or you need to write down some stuff. So let's say, for example, this is a lecture here playing live. This is obviously just an example one off the internet. So if we do Shift, Command, and then number 2, we're going to copy this particular slide. And then we're going to come in here and we're going to paste it. You can see that has pasted exactly what is on the slide, word for word. Formatting is intact. And that's going to save you a ton of note-taking time. And obviously, apart from screenshotting it and typing it out word for word, there's really no way you can get the text from here without actually sitting down and typing it out, which is a complete waste of time. Now, in my experience, it does pretty well with this kind of stuff. It's going to get most of the formatting. If you're taking a picture of, say, a book and maybe some of the edges of the book are a little bit curled or a little bit out of focus, it might struggle. But for stuff on the screen like this, it's absolutely perfect. I've had very, very few issues. So this next part is a really common thing you're going to find yourself doing either at school or at university. At least I did when I was doing my undergraduate degree. So you'll get these big PDFs. Sometimes they've been scanned. Sometimes they're just textbooks put together. And you're going to have to take notes, or you're going to have to possibly copy out a section to put it into a different slide or whatever you're doing. This is where Text Sniper really shines. So you can see here, this has been scanned relatively well. It was originally a printed article on pieces of paper. So whoever's scanned this has done a pretty good job. There's no sort of curled edges. It's all quite legible. So you can see here, this is actually a different language. So we're going to hold down Shift, Command, and 2, and we're going to select this paragraph here that's been copied to clipboard. So we're going to come here and we're going to paste, and you can see there that has done a pretty good job at copying everything. And if we come down the bottom here, so you can see here it's actually gotten this italicized option down here, which is in a bit of a weird font. It has actually picked that up fairly well. One thing I will mention, if you don't want to do all of this formatting yourself, you can actually specify that Text Sniper actually doesn't do that. So if we come in here and we untick Keep Line Breaks, let's try it again on the same paragraph. And then we're going to paste that in here. And you can see there that's worked pretty much perfectly. I've done this a few times before this video and I couldn't really find any errors here. And you can see there you don't need to do the formatting at all because Text Sniper has just spat it all out for you. So yeah, definitely a really, really cool app. I definitely think it is worth the $6 or $7 it costs in the long run, especially if you're doing any kind of data entry work or you're a student, or even if you work in a corporate job and you need to copy some kind of legal contract or something like that. Because even though the preview function on macOS is pretty good, so like you can see here with this particular document, I can actually copy and paste it like that. But a lot of documents you won't be able to do that, and that's where Text Sniper is going to come in clutch. Moving on to the next app, and that is Rectangle. So if you guys watched my previous video, you would know that I actually recommended an app called Magnet to do this, but I've since swapped to Rectangle because it's completely free and open source, as you can see here. And the way it works is pretty much exactly the same as Magnet. So if you guys are familiar with Windows, they have this really cool window snapping feature that allows you to effortlessly snap windows into the corners or to take up half the screen. Now, there's a good reason why macOS doesn't have that, and it's because Microsoft actually patented that feature, so Windows is the only thing that's allowed to use it. Luckily, there are third-party options like Rectangle, and the way it works is very, very simple. As you're about to see here, I just drag it and I will just drop it there, and you can see it has immediately resized the window. If I take this particular window out, and I drag it over to the left, boom, exact same thing. Now you can obviously do different setups, so you can have it taking up the bottom of the screen or maybe just like a corner. There are also shortcuts here you can memorize or even customize yourself. I personally don't do that because I only ever really do the left half and the right half. But if you wanted to get crazy here, you can see you've got a lot of different options. So you can have multiple windows going on your Mac without any issues, and it works pretty much exactly the same as the window snapping feature on Windows. Moving on to my third and final app in this video, that is iStat Menus 6. Now this is a free app, but you can obviously pay to upgrade to unlock more features. And this particular app is going to be really helpful for those who want to know a little bit more about their system. You would have actually seen me use this in a couple of my videos on this channel where I'm testing stuff out. And it just gives you a lot of really cool features that macOS does not give you by default. So you may have seen up here, I do have some menu bars. And this is where iStat Menus really shines. So if I click here, you can see I have a CPU drop down. This is going to give me a really detailed view of my system usage. It's also going to give me a quick snapshot here, all the different cores, processors, GPU, load average, and things like that. Uptime as well, that's how long your computer has been on. You can come in here and you can completely customize this. So if I just go to the iStat main menu, you can see here you've got a number of different options. So you can turn on notifications, you can customize the CPU and GPU. For me personally, I like to use these 4 functions here mainly. Now you can see you can obviously customize the menu bar. So this 50% icon up here relates to the memory capacity. So this is how much memory I'm actually using at the moment, which is 63%. And you can actually customize this. So if I drag that down, I can change that to something like a simple pressure graph like that, or I can just have the percentage and remove that, or I can turn it off altogether and that will actually remove memory. And you can see here with each of these different options, you have a number of different menu items that you can stick in there. I generally don't have many running. These are my main ones. So I'll quickly explain what each of these do. So starting with the first one, I've already touched on that. That is the CPU. Moving across, we have the memory or the RAM. And this just gives you a really quick overview of what's going on. So if you guys have an M1 Mac and you're worried about swap memory or how much RAM you're using, for example, this is going to give you a really clear idea of what exactly is going on. You can see there you have really intuitive charts. You have a swap memory bar here, but the most useful feature for me is actually the read and write disk feature. So if you guys have watched a previous video on my channel, you would have seen that regularly I actually test out the read and write speeds of actually physically copying files to different external drives. macOS by default does not give you that information, unlike Windows. So what you can do is you can enable this little widget up in the menu bar, and this is going to tell you the exact read and write speeds of a particular transfer, and even break it down by the hard drive. So say for example, if I was going to be dragging a 10 gigabyte file from my Macintosh hard drive onto an external SSD, you would actually see the write speeds up here, and that would give you more of an idea of how long that's going to take. Now moving on to the right, you can see we have the little Australian flag there. This is actually a network feature. So what I've actually got this set to is a flag, because that's going to replicate my IP address. Now, if you guys are like me, I use a VPN a lot to access different websites, or even just see how my own Created Labs website will react when I'm visiting it from a different IP. This just gives you a really quick snapshot of what particular country's IP address you're using. So it's very, very helpful. It also gives you more information here about your Ethernet. I don't particularly use that. It'll also do Wi-Fi as well, but the main feature I use it for is the public IP, just with the flag there, just to let me know which country I'm connected to with a simple glance. And that's pretty much all I have in the menu bar. Now, you might have noticed that this particular menu bar is getting a little bit cluttered. Pro tip, if you hold Command on your keyboard, you can actually move these icons around. But if you're more of a minimalist and you don't want all of these to appear, I have a little bonus fourth app that you can actually download and use, and that is called the Hidden Bar. And essentially all that does is it allows you to actually collapse and hide all of these icons into a single little icon, and it just makes it seem a lot more cleaner. And if you just want to have one thing up here, such as the time, or maybe just the battery, you can remove everything else and have it hideable so that it really clears up what you're looking at. Anyway, guys, that's it for me for today. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any app recommendations for me to check out, or if you have any questions, please let me know down in the comment section below. But apart from that, I will see you in the next one.